Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today is July 5th, 2025, and you know how I like to revisit readings that I've done and how I focused on the number 68 being significant, something that might happen around the on or near the 4th of July. Now, as far as things that happen directly on the 4th of July, well, the big, ugly, stupid mistake that passed the day before, you know who used the 4th as the symbolic day to sign it, as though it was something great for the United States, but we all know it's the death knell. People will die, and it's not just being overly dramatic, it's a fact. And I'm concerned for everyone, because I can't imagine there's any family in this country, unless they're billionaires and money is no problem, that wouldn't be affected by this bill. Directly, I've already dealt with him coming into office. As you might recall, he took office on January 20th, and by the 23rd, I was defending my brother's right to be in the United States, because my maiden name is Hispanic. It's a Spanish name, and my brother has a very Spanish first name as well, and we had a fight to get to keep him on Medicaid. But now, of course, we run the risk of him losing it, along with many other Americans, losing it altogether, or that his facility that takes care of him might no longer be able to take care of Medicaid patients. And so there's a big burden for many Americans, because we want our loved ones to be taken care of, and without that aid, you know. So please, and there's many other things. There's many other things also. You know, in Texas, there was a devastating flood, the Guadalupe River. 13 people have been confirmed dead, and 23 little girls at a summer camp or something like that have not been accounted for. They've disappeared. So, you know, we're talking about 36 individuals at least. So that's, you know, keep them in prayer. A terrible, devastating thing. Now, as far as the protest yesterday, my husband and I, our hearts were in it. We were going to attend, but I have had some ongoing health issues, which I think will be fine. But you know, in the interim, I haven't been feeling really well, and combined with the heat, it's too much for me. So we decided to stay at home, and instead of putting out the little flags that we always put out on the 4th of July, remember, we're a military family. My husband served the Air Force for 37 years. Instead of putting out our little flags, we put out our protest signs that we had in our garden. And then, as it turned out, because my brother, my son and his wife both had the day off, their little girl was like, let's go to visit Grandma and Pop, because she mostly wants to go in the pool. So we had a pool day with them, not necessarily celebrating that it was the 4th of July, but just celebrating ourselves. And one of the reasons we purchased this home, which is a ranch home, it's like a one-floor home, was because of my severe arthritis. And the reason for the pool is that at least in the summer months, I can use the pool, and I don't have pain. The only time I'm pain-free is when I'm in the water. So some of you who may follow me on Facebook, or, you know, sometimes on Instagram, although I haven't really been posting too much on Instagram. After I was copied by somebody, I kind of lost my flavor, my taste for Instagram. So for those of you who might want to follow me on Instagram and you feel like you're missing something, don't feel that way, because I really haven't been posting much. But every now and then I'll post like a family picture of us in the pool. So I do post a lot of pictures of us in the pool, but it's because it's the only time I have no pain. So we did that. sadly, you know, and I added to this problem because I wasn't present, but only about half of Americans showed up for yesterday's protests. On June 14th, when we had the No Kings, I think 11 million Americans showed up for that. And yesterday there was, you know, about half, like, you know, maybe 5 million people, a little less than half, showed up for those protests, which is a disappointment. But God bless, universe bless all the people who showed up. And for anyone who protested in their own way by putting yard signs, you know, especially if you live in a red area. I mean, we have, you know, it's not a mega rich area, but we have some affluent people in this community. And we have a few of them on our street, I learned. So, you know, hooers, I mean. So, putting up signs in your own front yard can be a form of protest, even if you didn't show up in numbers. Excuse me. I learned there was a shooting at a Salt Lake City demonstration. So that's disheartening. I don't know the details about that or the circumstances. And I think there was one arrest in Virginia. Many of yesterday's protests were organized under Free America, which is a nod to 1776's spirit of independence, and it was organized by women, which may have been why, excuse me, when I did so, I have to get a drink of water. What I think I was about to say is it was organized by women, which may be a reason why when I was doing readings on how the protests would be, a lot of female cards popped up, the energy of femininity. So I also want to touch base on a couple other things which we have to look forward to. I have it on good authority that the Matronua, pardon me, by Valentina De Luca, will be forthcoming very shortly, as she's got her hands full, I'm sure. You know, seeing to, you know, once the cards arrive, and there's a lot to do. But I'm really looking forward to receiving that and viewing that. And I think the other day when I did a video regarding Marco's Eliphas Levi deck, which I just wanted to remind you guys of, I did mention in passing that he has a new deck that is coming out called the Bordoni. And I will be receiving that. It's a Rivoltini deck, and I couldn't remember the name of it off the top of my head yesterday, and I didn't want to say the wrong thing, but we have that to look forward to. So, having said all that, I think we should try for a light-hearted read, something that's not too heavy. So give me a minute to think about that, and I'll be right back. Also coming up, one of my subscribers, Alexandra, suggested maybe that I do a movie video, which they don't tend to be very popular. The people who like my movie videos love them, but the numbers drop dramatically when I do one of those, so they're not real popular, but I think this might be a fun one. She suggested that I do a video on the 1973 movie, Live and Let Die, and to use the actual deck which premiered with the movie, the 1973 version with the blue backs of 007. So what I have to do is, because I can't remember the film, it was many years ago that I saw it, I'll have to, you know, rent a copy of the film and go over it with a fine-tooth comb to be able to come up with fun questions. So that might be a fun one that will be coming up. So today, I have to decide which one of these decks I probably will use, or maybe I'll use both of them for different reads. One is the Golden Tarot of Marseille, which I kind of love it for its little blinginess. And the other is, of course, my first deck I ever owned, which has a lot of sentimental value to me. And every time I open this deck, every time I use this deck, I feel the same surge of energy that I had when I was just a kid and glanced upon it for the first time. So the first read I decided to do, I decided I would use my 1JJ Swiss Besançon. Being a Besançon, it's got a little bit of a protest built into it. Just kind of curious what, if anything, was made by the neighbors of our protest signs in the front yard. We do have, I learned that we do have a few you-know-whoers on our street, still holding out. Jupiter, well, in place of the Pope, we see a very weary Jupiter, don't we? Interesting. Fresh energy, fresh news. Is it being presented to Jupiter, or is it being... His body looks like he's going in this direction. But it also seems like he's got his eye on the coin, but in the direction of Jupiter. Maybe they're getting weary. So maybe there wasn't so much disagreement, or, maybe they themselves are weary, hesitant and reluctant to go in a new direction, but maybe there's hope that they shall. The quint card for this would be 6, which would be the Lover's card. So it may be more of them are on board than we realized. Let's see if I can find the Lover's card without too much. It's never torture, I think, to see beautiful decks. And frequently, every time I touch that button to pause, there's always a chance that I'll screw up the video, and I hate to do that. Oh my gosh, watch, it's going to be the last card or something. Let me just cut to the chase and see what the last card is. Well, it's not the last card, but it was close. So yeah, maybe there wasn't too much opposition or too much distress regarding it. There's conflict within themselves, the once mighty king, that they had in mind, here with the eagle here. He does look weary in this, and in the context of the question. His minions may be confused. They're looking at him, but they're going in the opposite direction of hope. And maybe some of them are making a choice. I don't think that this particular depiction of the Lover card is a card about making a choice, because he's only presented with one woman and a gentleman there. So maybe not classically being seen as making a choice, but maybe making new bonds, so that's hopeful. That's good to know. Okay, let's come up with a couple other questions. Alrighty, so going on the assumption that the big, stupid, ugly, horrendous bill that passed on Thursday, but was signed into law on the 4th of July. Let's go on the assumption that that was what number 68 represented. Something happening on the 68th day. Now, there are still, today and tomorrow, which could have encompassed the whole 68-day period. But assuming that that atrocity was big enough and significant enough a thing to look out for in 68 days, let's use these cards today to do a signature spread on something, anything that we can be looking forward to, say by the beginning of September. Okay, so the remainder of July, all of August, the beginning of September. What might be the best thing or the best news that, as a whole, we might all look forward to? Well, that's fortuitous. The Sun card being the first card. Something to celebrate, something to feel good about, something coming, being seen. We have 9 coins, which is the fulfillment of well-being. And 4 coins, which is a little less and exponentially less, but it's still a fortuitous card of stability in the material world. And I love these Swiss decks, which this is, based on the Burdell, despite the gold leaf, which never occurred on any TDM decks, of course. But we see in the Swiss decks, I always think that these look like horns coming out of a chandelier, like on the New Year's Eve party or something like that. So for me personally, the Swiss Four of Coins usually suggests something to celebrate. Another 4 following a 4, stability of the emotions. Falling under the Sun card. Oh, wow, this is crazy. Another card of coins. So we have coins and cups being the majority of the pips with only one triumph. So we have 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 of coins, front and center. Moving forward, perhaps, in that direction of well-being. Okay, we have the Fool exiting the picture. Now, the Fool can represent a few different things. One of the things it can represent is carelessness. Another thing could be taking a chance when you have nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So sometimes it's just worth it to take a chance. We'll see what it speaks to when we get the Quint card here and the other cards. Oh, action. A burst of energy, creative energy. It does fall under a cup, so they can be at odds with one another. Let's see what comes next. Another baton. And this one would be a valet or a page. And temperance, wow. So detoxification, that's how I usually see it. It could be cleansing. It depends on a few things. Now, I know sometimes I get the Quint cards wrong. Sometimes when I think I get it wrong and then I redo it, I actually had it right the first time and I get it wrong the second time. Please leave me alone about when I get the numbers wrong. The way I perceive the read is the way it stands. Unless I catch my mistake during the read, that's the way I receive the message. Okay, so cut me some slack on that. I'll go off, and what I do is I add the numeric value of the cards. I do not include court cards in that count. And then if it's a number that exceeds 22, I just subtract 22 until I get a number from 1 to 21. And if 0 or 22 should be the result, then either way it would represent the card representing the Fool. Alrighty, so the Quint cards that we have for the spread. For the end of the top row, we have the Wheel of Fortune. For the center, we have the Hermit. For the bottom row, we have the Devil. And for the overall Quint card for the spread, which lays by design with the center row, is the Hanged Man. Now, remember, we asked the question being, what is what we can look forward to? So we're going to read the cards in the best possible context because we want the best aspects of the cards because we asked for the best. What is it that we could expect that is going to be good or happy for us? So let's go immediately to the Quint cards because they frequently will cut to the chase, and we can also simultaneously take a look at the 7, 2, 4, 6, the 7 coins, which suggests progress, right? It does suggest progress in the area or the arena of well-being. And we do have a few other stable cards. Well, we have the fulfillment, I think, with the 9 here of well-being. And then we have stability of well-being. So let's take a look at this one. This one has, if we're looking at it with the perspective of a positive, a change of outcome or a change of fortune. So maybe there will be a change. If the wheel is turning in that direction, maybe there will be a change. And since it's turning in this direction, maybe the diminutive stature of the 4 will be increased by the 9 if it's going in this direction. And ultimately, it will be highly satisfied by the Sun card. So there might be something that's not necessarily small that will bring hope or will bring joy or will bring clarity by the end of August. Because remember, the wheel is turning in this direction. So although it looks like the 9 and the 4 are, like I mentioned, that this is exponentially smaller, more than exponentially smaller than the 9, and it's going in this direction. So it's growing until this, I would maybe not see it so much if this was not the Sun card, but seeing the turn and then this being the ultimate card in that row, it really leads me to feel good. Now, as I mentioned a couple of times, with the 7 of coins front and center, suggesting progress, right? So we have a 4 following another 4 underneath the Sun. So it's a good feel, right? It's a good emotional feel. Progress. And here we have almost a classic face-off between the Fool and the Wise Man, right? In experience and wisdom. So there could be some kind of clash regarding that, which ultimately results in punishment for behavior. Remember, the way I interpret the cards, being a person who's, I am self-taught, so, I could vary to a large degree with what how other people might see the cards. But when I taught myself, it kind of made sense for me to investigate the origin stories of what the images might have represented. And for me, the source is always the place to go, right? Like when you hear a rumor about somebody, rather than repeating it, it's always better to go to the source and see what you can find out about the truth, right? If you have access to the truth, you should try to go for it, right? So, so there might be some kind of clash of the titans, and somebody is going to pay a price, and it may be, that doesn't sound like a good thing to us, but if we look at it in the context of something that we have to look forward to, or a good thing that will happen, seeing individuals who should be held accountable is a good thing. Okay, now we have the Devil card, who falls under the Wisdom card and is one of the quint cards for the spread, notably the bottom row. So we have a detoxification of poison. Right? There's a detoxification of something. So, and we have a small surge of energy, could be regarding subordinates, maybe subordinates in his camp, may aim to, whose camp may aim to kind of bring him down in a way, detoxify him. Now, they voted for this big, stupid, ugly, horrendous thing because they lacked spine and backbone. But, as it's been unfolding, we've learned that most of them were either blackmailed or, their faces were made public as a sign to do something about these individuals who are against me. There's a lot of pressure on them to acquiesce, which is not excuse. That just means that they lack fortitude. We don't see fortitude here, and no surprise. But it doesn't mean that they're all happy. And they're cowards. They're cowards. They took the easy way out, for sure. However, that doesn't mean that in their own ways, there may be some rebellion among them to bring about detoxification, or assuming that they lack so much backbone that they aren't going to, the ones who voted reluctantly, the reason they voted reluctantly would be because they were afraid. They're all afraid. I think he manages to progress because it's fear. He uses fear. That's his secret sauce is his fear, what he puts people through. We do have 2 cards of youthfulness, so this might not have anything to do with his minions. It could just be the young people, It could be a surge of young people stepping up, taking a part, That could be a part of it too. But someone, we have youthful here. I mean, the Fool card, any of the cards can mean more than one thing at the same time. So always bear that in mind. But in the context of the question, I'm thinking that in regard to the youthful energy may be the thing, the catalyst that detoxifies. There may still be something that happens, regarding number 68. It might not have just been the stupid, ugly bill. There might be something else that might be brought to light, right? A clash of youthful energy, or a clash which might seem reckless. And the Hermit is someone who is wise. So I don't, I don't readily see a negative aspect of the Hermit. He's not surrounded by cards that would suggest, well, he does have the Devil energy behind him, and it could represent the old monster. But I still hold out faith that the energy of the Hermit is positive, since we're asking for the good, right? So maybe it's time for the youthful to take over, and maybe they have something to say, maybe they have something to share that will bring consequence. So maybe 68 hasn't happened yet. Number 68. I tend to think that, the big, ugly, stupid bill falling on the 4th of July is probably significant enough to think that might have been what we had to keep our eye on, happening on or around the 4th of July, but there still might be something else. And in any event, by the end of August, there should be a glimmer of hope. As regards these cards, the suggestion is that there will be a change in direction. There will be some hope of detoxification, freshness, new blood, new energy, and some consequence. Oh, thank you, Birdie, for chiming in on that. What a great way to end the read. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, and continue to be brave.